Hey, everybody, Dave Hagan here. We're going to talk more about goals this week. It's important. That's today on the Financial Wellness Podcast.
Welcome to the Financial Wellness Podcast, Dave's weekly message to keep you on your path to the financial success. Here is your host, financial problem solver and talk show host, Dave Hagan.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Financial Wellness Podcast, or the TFWP, as we like to think about it. We're coming to you today from Van Nuys, California, Venice, California, San Diego, California, and Woodland Hills, California. Who would have think? All over California coming together to put together the TFWP to give you something interesting to listen to and think about this week. And who do we have here coming to us from Venice? Who dat over there?
How's it going, Dave? Happy New Year, everybody.
Hey, same. Happy New Year to you, Brian. And San Diego?
That's me, Dave. How you doing? How you doing, Brian?
Good to see you, Nick.
It's been several weeks actually since we've had a chance to get everybody together. It's good to see everybody. Good to start the new year out strong. So I want to talk more about goals. Last week I ran solo on the podcast and talked about goals, and I want to spend some more time talking in a little more general way, perhaps, about it. Maybe not all the technical stuff, but a little more general kind of way. And why now? Well, I think it's because it's the beginning of the new year. It's on everybody's mind. It's fresh. It's a new start.
Yeah, Dave, I'm going to do a quick interruption here.
Yeah,
and this is my pet peeve. You can start fresh at any time. It doesn't have to be just New Year's or January 1st. So that's all I'm going to say. Just going to stop.
You said that before and you said again, so true, so true. And you can, even halfway through the year, 3/4 of the way through the year, you can start fresh and put together a new set of goals. But it does seem to me at the beginning of the year, everybody's talking about New Year's resolutions. And I really like the natural break of things, starting a new year, having to learn how to write 2022 on checks again. A lot of our listeners are probably going, what's a check? But it's something that you like write the date and fill in an amount and somebody's name, and then they can take it to their bank and that they deduct money out of your bank account, for those of our true Gen Xers out there. But it's a good time and I like it. It's a great time of year. And it's a good time to talk about goals, it seems to me, because look, we're in the second week of the year. That means we're already 4% done with 2022. Now, a lot of people are going, hey, what's 4%? I could do 4% standing on my head, but 4% could be the difference between getting a B+ and an A- in school. Or as you're looking at what goals you achieved at the end of the year, I'd rather be getting an A+, having started a little earlier, than just getting the old B+, which is normally what I usually got back in school. But I think it's a good thing to talk about this, to start thinking about it even a little bit more than what we talked about last week. So remember last week, what we said was goals are something that should spring from your tombstone statement, or perhaps your current and final or potential tombstone statements. And we talked about the fact that they need to be specific, clear, measurable, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And if you want to revisit that, go to last week's podcast and listen to episode 501, because we talked about that with a lot more specific information. And then we talked about last week how to supercharge those goals, because that was the topic last week, how to supercharge those goals, how to make sure that they really get into your head and that you really go after them. So we've talked about the process in general a little bit, and we're going to be a little more anecdotal today. But first, I want to talk a little bit about my process. Now, everybody's different, and this isn't the exact way to do it, but just to give somebody an idea of, what a person might go through. So when I was putting together my goals this year, I started with the general vision of myself, the current and the future tombstone statements, how I would like to be seen by others currently and in the future. And then I decided generally what my journey would be this next coming year to get me down that road. So I have a general statement about what I want to do or what I want to accomplish by the end of the year. And then I broke it down. I broke these goals down, or this general goal down, into each facet of my life. So, for example, and these were just general goals, not financial goals per se, the first thing I talked about was, physical goals. And I want to lose 15 pounds like everybody else. But there were also more important things like, what I might need to see a doctor this next year for. Are there any specific things? How much caffeine do I want to take in? How much alcohol, for that matter, do I want to take in? For you guys, it might be other substances that you guys want to limit taking in. For me, it was blood pressure targets. For me, it was other things that, I talk about with my doctor in terms of a place that I wanted to get to be physically. And of course, that's a beginning. It's a sounding stone for everything else that you want to do the whole rest of the year. So then I talked about financial goals. And there you might talk about rates of return that you'd like to get this year. Of course, everyone would like 80% every year, but they've got to be attainable. That's one of the things we talked about last year. But I talked about, at least to myself, rates of return. I talked about diversification of assets. I talked about risk management. I talked to myself about asset acquisition, just to keep myself on track and have some specific things that I wanted to do. I got to tell you, I almost got distracted recently. I came across a real interesting opportunity in some real estate. And I started looking at this piece of real estate and thinking, wow, you could fix this, you could do that, you could that, you could flip it, you could rent it, you could da. It was a real opportunity. But then I had to step back and say, wait a minute. Was acquiring some real estate part of my goals this year? Is this something that's so incredible that I want to somehow vary from my stated goal? And my goal is to be pretty simple, pretty straightforward, to be mostly, in different market issues. And I step back from that real estate temptation, and to be connected to my goals helped me with that. And then I talked about recreational goals, and those kind of support the physical goals. But when am I going to break out from work? When am I going to take certain vacations? 3-day, 4-day, 2-week vacations? Because if you don't lay them down on the calendar at the beginning of the year, you get to the end of the year and you'll have all this accrued vacation time. That's not really what it's supposed to be. I looked at career goals. Am I on the path that I want to be at? Am I on the path that's going to get me to my general vision statement? And I looked at personal goals as well. Meditation, for example, my own personal headspace, stress management. And for me, something that's important is making a point to step back and look at the big picture. We get so caught up in the day-to-day crap that sometimes we don't stand back and look at the big picture. And I had spiritual goals in there as well. So I don't know. That was kind of my New Year's. That's what I did. How about you guys? You guys do anything good for New Year's?
Brian, take this one.
I had a very nice New Year's. I was able to meet up with some friends outside, had some cocktails on the deck, and then we walked down to the ocean and we watched the fireworks.
Nice. Nixter?
But I will admit that those were the early fireworks, the 9 a.m.ers.
They have them at 9 and 12?
They have them at 9 at 12. And I was like, I'll do the 9 because I'm probably not going to make the 12.
Yeah, the days of staying up till 12 is kind of like, you can watch it at 9 and then go get a good night's sleep.
Exactly. Are we getting old and boring?
Boy, I don't know.
Oh my God. Guys, is this what I look forward to? I can't believe this.
I don't know. For me, for me in the past, it was, oh, can you find a party? Can you go out to a dinner party? Can you get to and that was all good. This year, it was like these TV shows that were on. They were really hyping these TV shows, and yet one of the channels had like this co-host that was with Anderson Cooper. Did you guys see the some video clips of this?
That was hilarious. I think it was Andy Cohen.
Andy Cohen.
I didn't see this. What was this?
He was unfiltered, guys. Dave, take it away.
Well, I mean, he admitted that he was bombed, and he's on the air bombed, and he's like, he starts in on this or that. He starts going after politicians, and Anderson Cooper goes, "Do you really want to go down that road on New Year's Eve?" And back in the old days, if somebody showed up bombed on the air, all you get is the test pattern on your TV right away. They shut that down. Or you go to commercial and they go, yeah, he slipped off the top of the building. So now, Bubby Barty is going to be the co-host of the show or whatever. But you found it entertaining. It was kind of sad just to like let him embarrass himself for entertainment. What do you think?
I personally think I think it was just very interesting because it's kind of unparalleled to any other network.
Yeah. I mean, it truly was. And I just watched video clips and it was interesting, but I thought it was kind of sad. Don't help him embarrass himself. How about the other show? Did you see the other show?
Hold on, guys. I just Googled that. Apparently he tweeted, I was a bit overserved last night.
Yeah. That's a new, we used to call it just.
That's a nice euphemism for I was bombed.
Did you see the other show with, was it Miley Cyrus and Pete Davidson? I guess that was the younger, trendier show. I didn't see it. Again, I saw clips. You're cruising around the internet and they go, "Oh, did you see this? Oh my God." So Miley Cyrus, who a lot of times doesn't wear a lot on stage to begin with, comes out in some little like slinky little top, and apparently the clasp or something breaks and she's got to like grab it to hold it up, and she runs off stage and she comes back in just a red blazer. And of course she had to keep it risque. So the blazer wasn't like buttoned up or whatever. It was like open, like all the way down. And you're going, "Oh my gosh, did her top fall off? Are we having a costuming moment? What would they call it? A costume malfunction at the Super Bowl?" I don't know. That's kind of what New Year's was. Not my bag so much. I watched a movie and went to bed. I wanted to get up early and start to focus on, the fresh new aspect of the new year, which I really like so much. How about you, Nick? You're the youngest of the crew. Tell us you had some wild time.
I had the big Omicron, Dave. It was not fun.
Bummer.
What?
Bummer, dude. Did you feel pretty bad?
Yeah, I felt really bad. And if there's anything I'd say about it is that people underestimate the power of the COVID.
Wow. And you were triple boosted, you were double boosted, and you had the booster shot, or you had your shots.
I had the vaccine.
Yeah.
I had 2 shots. I was not boosted, as they say.
Oh, bummer. I just got boosted. I figured it was time.
I think it is. If I can go back, I would definitely get boosted as soon as possible. And, it's.
How many days were you down?
I personally still feel down. And this is 2.5 weeks post my first symptoms.
Wow. Brutal wow. Stuff. Yeah. Get your booster shot up there. Boy, don't we sound like a bunch of street dogs? Hey, have you had your shots, man? Did you get your booster? It's like crazy how it turns out. Now they're talking about a 4th booster. And the people are going, what are we gonna boost every 6 months? I can't imagine, but
I mean, Dave, I don't think this is going away anytime soon.
Yeah, bummer. And here I thought we were past our TFWP episodes, coronavirus editions. We might have to do another one, huh? Oh man.
We've only just begun.
Man, oh man. So Nick, you were laying in bed, but any goals? Any goals you want to share?
Yeah, one goal is to figure out a payment plan for my student debt.
So for those of the listeners that aren't in the know, Nick just finished 3 years of law school, studied for an exam and passed a little 3-day quiz. But now he's looking for that first big job, but he's also got to deal with paying or dealing with his student loans, which are pretty substantial, I guess.
You warned me, Dave. You warned me 3 years ago on this same podcast.
I know. You said, I want to go to law school. And I'm going, what? You sure you want to incur that debt? But now you've done it. So now you're a fully committed individual. You got to make sure that you got enough income to pay that debt. You got your work cut out for you. Hey, did you happen to see what happened? What was it? Just this week, last week, President Biden or the White House or somebody said that they were going to push payments on student loans back another 6 months.
May.
Until May.
Let's go.
So you got some time. You don't have to pay till May, right?
I think from now until May would not even make a dent in my student debt.
That's true. And you know what? They're telling people they have a holiday, but are they really getting a holiday? Let me ask you this. If the payments are off till May, are they going to stop accruing interest?
What do you think, Dave?
Well, my guess would be probably not, right? And if that's the case, are they really doing you a favor by saying, well, you don't have to pay? Because that number continues to grow. And what's the payment term? 10 years? So
try like 30
years. So that amount is going to sit out there and accrue interest. They're going to get, I don't know, 6% from you. And that's a pretty good investment for the bank or the government, because they don't get that on other loans necessarily. It's almost like they're not doing you a favor. I remember, and I tell the story about one year I got a letter from a credit card company, and they said, well, Merry Christmas. We are going to suspend your December payment so you can have a holly jolly holiday. And I'm looking for the waiver of interest. And it's like, they weren't waiving the interest. All they were doing was letting you kick the can down the road and letting it accrue. Are they doing you a favor? I would argue not. They would do a favor for you if they said, hey, it's December. We want to do something good for you. Your payments double this month, so that you get rid of that big balloon of debt. That's tough. It's going to be
I think it's going to be a long, haul that Nick, you knew about. So this is just it's the next phase.
Well, I think it's funny because every time I ask my parents, Mom, Dad, why did I go into law? They always tell me, Nick, you chose this path.
There you go. And Nick, you got to remember too, you're at the lowest part in the pit of student loan despair, because you don't have that first income quite yet, and yet you're at maximum indebtedness, and it'll get better and better, but you really do got to take and pay attention to it. I mean, but that we discussed that as well,
Well, of course. But I mean, I'm just waiting for President Biden to say all student loans are forgiven. I can't wait for that day.
Yeah. Well, good.
Keep clicking your heels 3 times. That day is never going to happen.
Yeah.
I live in Kansas.
During the presidential campaign, that's what they were talking about. And the latest proposal that's in Washington is that they're going to forgive just about $10,000 per person. And the average amount of student loans per student, I forget the exact number. I didn't know we were going to go down this road necessarily tonight, but the exact number is like 30, 40,000. So the student loan forgiveness is not going to be that significant even per person. And for graduate students, it's going to be a drop in the bucket. A $10,000 forgiveness for you, Nick, it's almost, why bother, So
I'll take anything.
You'll take it. I know. But
I'm not discriminatory. If you want to put $1,000 to the Nicholas Appel ESQ fund, I am totally okay with that.
Well, maybe someone could send you.
Maybe you should start a Kickstarter.
I like that.
Oh my goodness.
I like that.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man. So everybody out there, we're already 4% down the road this year. So don't wait any longer. Listen to last week's podcast. Go off in a corner, write down your goals, come up with something. Otherwise, the year is just gonna slip by, and you'll be listening to our holiday show going, did I set some goals actually for this year? This is Dave Hagan, and you're listening to the Financial Wellness Podcast.
You've been listening to the Financial Wellness Podcast, Dave's weekly message to keep you on your path to financial success. If you have a question that you would like Dave to answer on the podcast, go to thefinancialwellnesspodcast.com. You can leave an audio message with one click of a button, or type your message into the question box. Either way, it's sent right to Dave's phone. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you receive the new episode notifications. Let's listen in now as Dave answers some emails.
All right. I think Brian's got one for me. Go ahead, Brian.
All right. This is from Rochelle, and she writes in, Dave, I just lost my life insurance. Can you point me to a place where I can get new insurance? Important points are as follow. My husband and I have been married 30 years. He works full-time and does well. I work part-time and do pretty well too. Our health is pretty good. We have 2 kids out of the house and have decent careers, and we almost own our house. And we actually also have a couple of rentals. I feel like it's so irresponsible not to have life insurance. Can you point me in the direction of where to get some? Thanks in advance, Rochelle.
Sure, Rochelle. Sure, absolutely. I mean, here's some thoughts. I'm going to assume some things. I'm assuming that you're talking about term insurance, not whole life or universal insurance. As most of our readers know, term insurance is insurance to take care of people who depend upon you for support in the event something happens to you. Whole life, universal, those have a term insurance component, but are also investment in vehicles. So I'm going to assume that it's term life insurance. And I'm also going to assume that your insurance was wrongfully, or not wrongfully, but terminated in a correct manner. In other words, if the insurance company dropped you wrongfully, you need to talk to an attorney, or if they didn't renew you wrongfully for some reason, you need to talk to an attorney. And of course, you need to talk with your agent who sold you the policy first. But assuming that that's all in place, I can't see any dependent here that's dependent upon you and why you necessarily need life insurance. Your husband's working well. He's covered. He's certainly secure. Your kids are out on their own. They're doing well. They're secure. They're certainly not depending upon you for life insurance or for support. There's no reason to have a contract that would pick up and take care of their need for support should something happen to you. You and your husband own your house, or most of your house. You've got a couple of rentals that sounds like they're doing so good. So I don't know that you need to feel irresponsible. I'm guessing that maybe you got oversold by an agent back in the day, and they told you, oh, you got to have life insurance. You got to have life insurance. And you know what? Maybe you don't. There was a point a couple of years back where I was looking at that, and there were a few years left on the contract to pay. And I called the agent up and I said, what if I don't pay? And they said, well, they'll just stop the insurance. And I thought, well, what do I need the insurance for? We got the insurance when we were younger in our careers, didn't have much in the way of assets, and had a couple of young kids. Now we don't have young kids. The kids are fine. They're on their own. We've got a little bit of money under our belt, not like we're rolling in the dough, but we're okay. And I just thought, you know what, that $1,000, $1,500 a year, whatever it was, maybe we really don't need that anymore. And I just decided to let it lapse. So I know that's a different way of thinking about it. I know that's not the way people were taught to think about it 30, 40, 50, whatever years ago, but it's kind of a new thought. And I think, Rochelle, maybe it's something that you should think about. So there you've got it. More discussions about goals and email on the back end. I think we're just about at a wrap. Brian, thanks for coming in. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me, Dave. Good to see you guys. Happy New Year.
Hey, same to you. Nick, I hope you're feeling better, buddy.
Thanks, man. I'm getting through it, but we will persevere.
I like it. Yeah. Maybe next episode, you'll be feeling a little more perky, although, we do this by video. Your video feed's looking pretty good. I don't know if that's a picture of 3 weeks ago of you or something, but you're looking pretty healthy. Hang in there, guy.
Dave, I'm holding a picture in front of my face. That's why.
All right, all you listeners, go out, put together your goals, and start moving forward on those because we're already 4% into the year. This is David Hagan, and you've been listening to the Financial Wellness Podcast.
You've been listening to the Financial Wellness Podcast, Dave's weekly message to keep you on your path to financial success. If you have a question that you would like Dave to answer on the podcast, go to thefinancialwellnesspodcast.com. You can leave an audio message with one click of a button, or type your message into the question box. Either way, it's sent right to Dave's phone. Remember, Dave will randomly draw from the submitted questions and pick the winner of a free 1-hour personal conversation with Dave to help you achieve your financial goals. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you receive the new episode notifications, or share the podcast via the app with your family and friends. This is your announcer, Nick Appel, wishing you every financial success.